Welcome to Education USA webinar presented by three of our Education USA centers today. I'm Jenica Heim. I'm from the Canadian Center. We also have in the chat currently Ashley Kopp from Zacatecas, Mexico, and we also have a viewing party who will bring online during the question and answer coming to us from Costa Rica. Education USA provides free advising services to students around the world in over 400 centers in over 170 countries. So besides the three countries that the advisors here are from, there's probably a center close to you if you're not from one of those countries. Please reach out to any one of us using educationusa.state.gov. We'll have that website again at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and present to you our guest speaker for today. Today's presentation will be given by Sandra Altman, Graduate Admission Counselor at St. John's University in New York City. Sandra has worked in her position for 2 years after graduating with her Master of Arts from New York University. Sandra continues to gain expertise on achieving success in graduate school. She's able to identify student needs from acting as head admission counselor in her office and from her own experience as a graduate student. Sandra is excited to partner with Education USA and will be happy to keep in touch with today's participants in order to assist anyone in their graduate school application process. So let's all welcome Sandra, our expert for today, whose camera unfortunately is not working, but here is a beautiful picture of her. Welcome, Sandra, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Jenica, and welcome everybody to participate in with collaboration with EducationUSA. I have been directed by my director, Robert, his information at the end of this presentation, who has spoken so highly of EducationUSA and encouraged me to reach out of this first initiative, and very excited to be here. So again, welcome everyone. Welcome all day to start collaboration with the rest of the world, just to keep momentum from our Rio Olympics that we all just enjoyed. I know I was tuning in to, and I see Canada is participating, Colombia, Peru, Pakistan. So again, if you aren't able to participate today, that's okay. It will be recorded. As you heard, or as Jenica mentioned, I represent St. John's University in Queens at our university on our Queens campus. We have several locations, and as I'm speaking, I'm slowing my pace down. True worker, I am speaking quite fast, as much of my life is very fast-paced in New York City. I hope you have been able to city in the past, or could make a visit in the future, or perhaps even as a student. I will make a lot of noise in New York. There's some background. We are quite close to an airport, which makes traveling convenient, but also could be a possible interruption throughout this presentation, since a lot of planes can be loud when they're flying overhead. But I would mention it. When you live here, you sort of tune it out and forget that it's around until you have to make a presentation online. We'll continue on here to speak about the purpose of meeting today, which is or what is necessary to include in your personal statement that is part of many graduate application processes. To sort of go back to the beginning, so to speak, I myself was a graduate student and wrote my own necessarily participate in something that would have been informative like this. So I really hope you are able to utilize my own insight as a and as a person who reads several essays throughout the application process. Some schools vary, require that may ask you questions depending on which programs you're choosing. The programs that I oversee in admission are several, so I would say there's about 30 altogether. In addition, I oversee application graduate admission for pharmacy sciences, as well as College of Professional Studies. So there's 4 main programs out of that college, in addition to 4 programs in health, public health, and so on. What you might find at many graduate school applicants or application, they are siloed, or there are programs that require their own application. So just be sure that you're applying to the correct one and that you're in the essay program that you specifically want. As you know, there are quite a lot of requirements in. You want to make sure that you're addressing exactly what the application requires for the program. I understand I'm cutting in and out. Is that something we want to try to fix, or should I continue? I can continue on. If not, just sort of message me. Anyway, as we continue with directly about writing the personal statement, since it's a very unique opportunity to really set yourself apart, a unique.
Sandra, I'm going to jump. I'm going to jump in because you're breaking up quite a bit, and I think students are losing a little bit of the content. Maybe, is there any way that you can close? Are there anything open on your computer that you can close out to make sure this is the only thing open?
I PDF copy you had open.
Okay.
So everything else is closed out now.
And are you using a plugged-in computer rather than a wireless?
Correct. Yeah, it has the Ethernet connection.
Okay. I think, do you want to just jump out of the room and come back in? Maybe a restart might help. I know that it's causing a delay to do that, but I think if it helps improve the audio quality, then that would be best for everyone.
Sure will. In a New York minute.
Thank you so much. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone, for sitting tight. And we will get Sandra back here in a second. We want to do our best to make sure you can hear her fantastic content. And just to summarize what she was talking about, in case you had trouble hearing, she was talking about when you apply to university, oftentimes the departments are siloed into different schools, and you have to make sure that when you're applying that you apply to the appropriate school. Yeah. Okay, she's back in. All right, so Sandra, since also you're not using video, you can just come on, we'll just have you come on with the microphone. Go ahead and hit live here. And we'll see how that goes.
Okay, can everybody hear me at least? I do appreciate everyone's flexibility. There were, it could be my computer. I don't know. Can we all, so that was a yes. You can hear me now? All righty. Thank you, everyone. So, still cutting out. Okay. For a bit. And remind everyone that you're always able to directly email me or join me for a chat that you can email me about, that I can give you more information. We host them Monday through Wednesday. So just to my presentation and talking about the statement is that it is a significant part of what application truly unique and an individual submission rather than anyone your application with a transcript for review. So I just wanted to make it clear that I do pull insight from my own experience as an admission counselor in the overall application process. Overlook, and I will try to focus specifically on the personal statement. But my own personal be as accessible and knowledgeable for you, not only during this presentation, but moving forward so that you do miss today. So continuing along and focusing back on our personal statement, I do the importance of telling your story, not necessarily personally, but academic and professionally. What you do in writing your personal statement is your academic and professional experiences that you have had up into the point where you are deciding. I first do want to mention the significance of using the term statement rather than essay or another. I have in fact had students be a little bit misled with the word statement, and I do want to make clear that a statement entails an intended response of words. So perhaps there are not limitations to how many words you would like to use, but the general guideline is 300. So it's a good page and a half to 2 pages of writing your academic and professional background, which we will detail onto the details that you want to focus on in writing and preparing the statement. But I do want to mention the word count. I mean by a statement. Again, it's always important in graduate school to familiarize yourself with the programs in graduate school are very specific. And rather than applying to a whole university, sometimes you're just applying to a specific school, more so the program. There's always a counselor, and in addition, there's always someone you can contact, usually the director of the program, so that you can clarify what requirements are necessary. The first person you can always reach out to is the counselor. This is how we function at St. John's. And then if you want more detail about how the academic or of the program, normally the academic counselor or the admission counselor rather can connect you with that faculty. And once you're connected, International, they're more than happy to assist you in providing those details about how closely you can learn about the program and decide if it's right for you to apply. The thing I want to mention also is when you apply to grad school, to be sure it's going to be the right. Rather than wasting time and money, you really should focus on at the point of grad what you want to study. You should start to have thought about the courses that you'll need, the career that you want. So graduate school becomes about who the faculty and in a more functional way, how much the program or how long the program will be and how much it will cost. So those are big factors when applying to graduate school that you want or you're already aware of before even beginning the work, or the work in writing the statement. So in addition to your transcript or your GRE requirement, which is our standardized test, or a GMAT if you're applying to graduate or business programs. In addition to the letters of recommendation that you'll submit, going back to the essay is really important. Chance for you to not only exemplify that you're ready for graduate studies, but that you are in a position that you will be successful based on the criteria that you write about, the best fit. So again, the essays really identify that you are a good fit for the university. And I'll continue to explain why. Continue on in this presentation. Something that our director, Robert Medrano, he's the director of International and Domestic Graduate Admission. He's actually international right now. Sometimes we is on the mat, but I believe he's doing a tour in the Balkans, started in Turkey. So he's away from us right now, and his left me with 6 tips for success. Like any good writing structure, you want to help yourself by organizing it. Recommend an introduction, a body, and also a conclusion. But specifically for academic goals that you're writing about, discuss your academic or professional history first in your introduction, what you're currently at or near in related goals, and then of course the important part, what you plan on doing with this degree. If you're an international student, it's always important to really what your plans are. You'll be talking about it often to people throughout your process, specifically even status. So it's really important that you use this essay as a time to really write and reflect about in graduate school. Of course, your plans are researched, and I can talk to that point but I do want to stress that your history is important since your undergraduate shape your level of candidacy affect your submission. But I will say, and I will talk on this point about specifically St. John's and why I'm very proud to be a member of the team here. St. John's is extremely social justice minded, accessible institution, and many schools are globally united. I was part of the global network of New York University. And they're always willing to help a student, their background, if they're international students, helping them and understanding and realizing that a student is not, or circumstances that will help you writing, describe to faculty whether it to study graduate school, but also that an essay could really be significant for a faculty member really trying to understand what your goals are. So rather than just placing you on a numeric, we do take interest into what you're writing. Sometimes people can use the essay also in talking about the history profile to maybe clarify other extenuating circumstances that may have occurred. So it's important that you focus on a challenge or a point of growth you had in your past, but you can certainly mention it. I know had to leave for personal reasons and had received incomplete script and actually was able to be accepted with the do the work that she missed. Because again, many universities are understanding to that nature. Not something obviously to take advantage of. You don't have to feel like there's no chance for you. Faculty work with students really just as an end goal to help them be successful. I do want to mention that because it's something that I really enjoy about working in higher education. And I know at the end I'm going to just other factors that are helpful to students specifically in the application process that I'm aware of. And so your body of your paragraph, of your essay, what you are currently doing. Some students do have to have a job be directly related to your current studies. Other programs I will mention are a little more competitive and they want to begun and are serious in your career. So again, sometimes you might find the answer to many of your questions is it depends on the program. If you're ever in doubt of what you might as a prerequisite for your program, it's always best to contact an admission counselor. I know myself, I always tell students, it's especially as an international student, not to wait to the last minute to apply, because as you can see, a statement takes as much time and effort really to perfect, then you're also going to want to make sure you are in order. And I know international students have an additional process of obtaining their visa. So altogether, throughout the process, you get to know your counselor pretty well. But there's usually the success and the moment of acceptance, which is what counselor is working to help you with. Ever questions in regards to whether your current professional status be with your academic goals, or what you can do to help explain what you are currently doing graduate degree, you can always ask. I do know it varies on the program. It's always helpful to get outside internships if possible, but also even as you can see how significant the writing piece is, it's really important to gain skills up current. So it's always really best to continue as much research or education. And that brings me to another, which is highlighting your skills. And I will say a very necessary skill to have are your research and writing skills. And to the point and focus of today's webinar, which is writing. If I had known, right, going to become an expert in research and writing, I would have told myself as an applicant to start familiarizing myself with APA or MLA format, which is, of course, the writing styles and requirements in a research paper. I know I participated facilitating in a 7-week seminar for international students who they really varied on of writing skills they should have. And I remember taking some time to explain and teach really the required at graduate level in producing research and papers. So again, if about your TOEFL and IELTS and GRE writing section that faculty have begun to focus on in the application process, because it's not for anyone who may not have first language, because again, we offer conditional admission and there's so many ways there's so many processes, programs in place to help you. And if anything, at St. John's, you'll just become an even stronger student, especially in regards to English. So whether they're writing or whether they're in your academic discipline, but don't stray away from what you already have accomplished. For example, hopefully if you're in the sciences, you participated in lab research experiences. I'm noticing the tips that you're all writing, and I really appreciate you just reiterating some points I'm making. Either, unrelated or not, but I know that all this information I'm giving is so important, and I really just want time during your application process and your time during applying to graduate school. I certainly wish I had sat in a webinar to my graduate application. Continuing on with our tips, I will mention this is so important. This is probably the most when they apply and when I go over the application process and requirements with them, not only at St. John's, but at any institution, about being a good fit for a program is where faculty can really determine that fit, not only being able to talk about the faculty and who they are is really important, and the faculty want to hear about themselves. Know that not because they have a big ego, although they have accomplished many great academic, so to know that it's also so that they know that you're aware of the program you're applying to, that you didn't just pick a program, and you're making a judgment of the university and themselves. They want to pair with students and mentor them and help them grow so they want you to know about them. that's why the third tip is so important, because many times, although I certainly understand that you may not just apply to St. John's University, it is important to realize that you should mention and take some time to learn about what it makes it unique. So of course, St. John's, we are in New York City. There's great advantages in learning in an urban metropolitan area such as New York City. In addition, you have to see the faculty themselves and what they offer to your studies. So who is the department chairperson? Who else teaches courses? And I have here also, why do you want to learn under a specific profession? Certainly in your statement of purpose, you should be speaking about if your discipline meets the experience and interests that are in line with the and does it meet also your needs. So again, you can see where my point about being a fit comes into play. And I often refer to our clinical program in this respect, because this is not every program, but in a highly competitive program such as our clinical, we have about 400 to 600 applicants and 12 students who take the doctoral cohort per year. So as you vast ratio, and what often determines beyond GRE scores and beyond transcripts is the statement that the student records and in relation to who the faculty are and what they research. So again, it's a matter, sometimes it's just a matter of, does this faculty also plan to study? I know even personally a friend who applied to that program, and she's doing great. She's at UCLA. It for her was better there in the specific child development that she wanted to pursue. As far as St. John's has on our website, I know our head chair who oversees the application process is the individual who led the DF. It's basically the Foundation to Psychology textbook. So although my friend may have found a better fit at UCLA, you can see that right student. And that's definitely established in doing your research on the university and the faculty. So you're seeing now that this statement isn't just some deterrent of your application process, but it really is, it's going to understanding where you're headed and really establish that intention of applying. So continuing on, you're very, you all, again, we're gonna just continue on, and I'm happy to stay for a little bit and chat with you in our chat session. The next tip that I want to speak about is reflecting on your personal student. So this is the time to really focus on who you are, not only in relation to but study at a university that is not representative of your home or origin, country of origin. The factor that I learned about being as a graduate student was not only how to be a good researcher, so how it's not necessarily always going to be textbook and tests that you learn the best, but mostly also peers. Constructive learning environment is very popular at many universities, and in talking about who take an opportunity to speak about who you are as an international student, what perspective that may offer your field and your peers, and also international students, in addition to the domestic students here, who you may also exchange insight with. Phenomenal experience in a graduate classroom. It's a huge privilege that I sometimes miss. So it's certainly an opportunity to also write about in your essay. I'm just going to continue on. I do see you have questions, which is great. Our fifth tip in relation to and taking pride in that is also to sing your praises of your accomplishments in the field started to pursue. Rather than using passive language and mentioning something that you perhaps were assigned, it's articulate to use the statement that you've accomplished in a way that in writing it as a way to take ownership you have done. Writing where you want to display a lot of the work you've done and time to be humble. I know even times, depending on who you are and where you come from, people don't like to brag, but this is certainly the time you are. So here's an example here of active language. Passive meaning you would say that you accomplished by being told to do it. I was assigned, rather than saying, this is what I've done. I've done a capstone project. I implemented the third semester's brain study. So really that what you have done and taking ownership of it is really an important way to display that you are a great graduate studies. Our last tip for success comes down to grammar. It comes, which we are focusing on today. I do sort of want to go into a caveat that I sort of did mention earlier, perhaps not having English as your primary language, and I will speak to that, but your ability, always revise any presentation you do. You never submit its final without reviewing. Most presenters, presentation givers, so to speak, will revise and review and edit the presentation at least 3 times. Fear of yours that you know from school, a professor, or anyone who has expertise, be sure that you are reviewing as well. Really, this is your opportunity to display your skills and your level of writing, which is really going to be able to help you be successful in reflecting the research that you came to learn at a university. So, with that said, I do want to mention, again, yes, I see advisors review statements, and that's so great that EducationUSA offers those resources. I do want to mention, I sort of about conditional admission, so it's something very in line with that accessibility I mentioned. Many universities offer international students whose primary language may be English an opportunity to study English before entering their academic. So in that respect, that's sort of where conditional admission comes into play. And the stipulation of your admission would be that you would participate in a 7-week that would advance your level of English and it would exempt you from taking a TOEFL or IELTS exam with the intention that you would complete this program. This is something actually that for St. John's University, in the past we've had students learn English taking academic courses, and although that's still an option, also adding this opportunity as well. So many professors program, if you're in a program that has a lot of writing, this is a good opportunity to take advantage of. Not only will it help your future writing, but it may be the case that your isn't strong because you may not know English well. To sort of support you in kind of allow you to a little relief that as important as the statement is, I always understand that students come from, I always say, no student is and especially no graduate. You are all my little snowflakes, I call you, because it's important that we recognize the uniqueness and great value that international students offer a campus. So, your intelligence, if writing isn't your expertise. Always use your resources like EduSA mentioned, EduSA offers, but also look into ways, the other opportunities for admission at universities who are successful in that respect, such as St. John. So I think the majority of my presentation, I want to kind of also mention, well, first I want to conclude with here, which is Robert Medrano's contact. He's of graduate admission for international and domestic students, so he oversees all the application processes, along with myself and my colleague here. That's his contact information. But if you want to know a truthful tip, his mailbox gets a little overflooded when he's traveling overseas. Please feel free to contact us. I'm going to just type in the student account. That's gradhelp@stjohns.edu. Email, which is altmans@stjohns.edu. And sorry, I was just reading a slide check. And I do want to say that you can register anytime for our chat session. Reach out to me. I can direct you how to do that. And we can talk more about GRE requirements or whether that applies to your program, submitting your materials internationally. There's a great resource for admitted students on that on our website that I could direct you to. Beginning your letter of recommendation process, contacting your recommenders. I see a question here. Should you include your name or any contact information uploading the essay to an online application? Yeah, the headline on your essay, any materials you submit, you should always your information printed on it, headline, just because materials get passed along to several people at admission office. The answer is yes. I'm going to just scroll down now to see if there's further questions that I may have missed adding. You're asking any unanswered, should you include the name? Okay. I'm just reading through the comments to make sure I address any questions that were asked. If anyone wants to read to the beginning, please. Yes, it's okay to mention your professor that you've studied with. Education is a small world, and they are in their field. So using that, your network is awesome. It's very beneficial to your. Just going through more. Is there a question that I may have missed? Admission counselors are. That's funny. Yes, we're not terrible people. I know. I just helped a student with direct admission. Pretty happy about that. So and that's a lot of tools that could be better detailed, capacities. I can always take some time to focus on that if that's what you're concerned about. Proper formatting for a paper in an essay statement is basic communication. You do want to use professional fonts, Times New Roman, Calibri. Keep them marginal to how don't try to expand your margin so that you can write less. Write the proper amount. Just be true to what the assignment or prompt is asking you. I'm basing my tips off of the requirements for some programs. At other might be very specific, but unless this is also a good tip, unless otherwise specified, you can always follow up with a counselor comfortable with your format, but also do trust yourself in that you're going to produce professional work. Thank you for the examples of content. I do want to mention some programs will ask for writing samples, and that is in addition to your personal statement. Those are involve usually the doctoral level of psychology or English or history. So programs that are requiring additional writing samples that you would have to be aware of, but otherwise, sometimes a reflection on a course lecture or class discussion. An addendum. Do you mean just in addition for what you've already stated? That question for me, Gabriella, please. I'll look into that for you. Well, anyway, all of us at EducationUSA and over here in New York City. Sorry about the sound difficulties. Follow up. I definitely encourage that.
So
thank you, Ever.
I think, Sandra, they cut off quite a bit there at the end, but thank you so much for the information today. And thank you to those of you who were put on your good concentration caps and really got a lot out of that, because there's some great information there. And I think the last thing I would say to Gabriella is that's what Education USA is for. If you have questions about things like understanding what an addendum is, get in touch with your advisor. That's the kind of thing that we're really good at helping you with, because we can look a little bit closer and make sure you have the right information. So let's all just take another moment to thank Sandra for this valuable information. As mentioned, we will put this recording online. Thank you for your participation today. And I know we didn't, the folks in Costa Rica, we didn't give them a chance to come on. Do you guys want to type to us? Angelina just says thank you. Angelina, are there any other questions from Costa Rica that you'd like to field? Nope. Okay, great, because we're at 6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and shut everything down. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.